I have never met a pouch that I didn't love, so when Louis Vuitton launched their new key pouches, I was like a moth to a flame, okay? On today's video, I wanted to do a deep dive on those pouches, especially since I was able to snag one of the sizes. So I wanted to share my first impression, what it fits, size comparisons, the whole 9 yards. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure and give it a thumbs up. And without further ado, let's get started, shall we? I will also be adding timestamps and I'll pin it as the first comment. That way you guys can go to whichever part of the video you are interested in seeing first. Okay, let's do this because we have a lot to discuss. So as I mentioned, Louis Vuitton recently launched some new key pouches. They are available in 3 different sizes. The size small that comes in at $365 here in the States, the medium that comes in at $490, and the large that comes in at $735 if I'm not mistaken. So when I first saw these, I was like, oh my God, sign me up, especially since I'm such a huge fan of the regular key pouches. I feel like those key pouches are so insanely versatile, which is why I feel like that key pouch is quite possibly one of the greatest small leather goods of all time when it comes to luxury goods, at least in my opinion. So like I said, I saw these and I was like, oh my God, sign me up, sign me up. But at the same time, I didn't know which size to go for because I was like, is the small too close to the regular size? Is the large like too big? I didn't know. So I was kind of all over the place. And ultimately, I decided to go for the size small. So I did deconstruct the unboxing. You guys know I'm not really a big fan of those, but it came like so. And it also came with a little hanging tag. And there is the SKU. I know that some of you guys have been saying that you're not really feeling these hanging tags. Personally, I like them. I definitely like them. But here it is in the dust bag. And as I said, I picked up the small. And I couldn't be happier. This size is perfect. Even though I am still kind of looking at the medium as well. Because these are... I didn't know if they would live up to the hype, and they absolutely have 100%, but we will get into all of that in just a second. But let me give you guys a really quick tour of it. So there is the front side or back side. There is a side view. There is the front or back side. There's another side view. There is the bottom, the top. Let me bring you in on the zipper pull. You have a very smooth zip. Look at that. It's like butter, baby. I absolutely appreciate that. And on the inside, this is what we have going on. You do have the keychain and the clasp right there. Hang on. There we go. I still have a sticker attached to it. Oh, and then I also have my textile card. I forgot about that guy. So you have one open compartment. Let me see if I can bring it here so you guys can see a little bit better. One open compartment, and you also have a slip pocket, but the slip pocket is actually not attached to the interior. It's not part of the side of the pouch. This is what I'm talking about. You can actually take out this little part. Not that you would, but you can take it out, and as you can see, mine says Louis Vuitton Paris, made in France. So you have that little slip pocket, and then you still have that open compartment there. So that was a really nice surprise because on the website, it looked like it was just part of the interior of the pouch. But when I saw that you can kind of move it around, I thought that that was a really nice detail. Now, my first question was, okay, are these going to be replacing the regular key pouches? When I talked to client services, they said, no, we are still going to have the regular key pouches. And I asked if these are going to be part of the permanent collection. One sales associate said yes, another one said no. So take that with a grain of salt. If you guys have any information, let me know in the comment section down below. Personally, I think it would be great if they included this into their permanent collection because it gives you a little bit more options when it comes to those key pouches. Because those key pouches, like I said, they're so insanely versatile, but if you like that style and if you want something bigger, I can only imagine how you can incorporate that into your collection. So again, having a little bit more variety when it comes to these pouches, I think is absolutely wonderful. My first impression, I think that they're absolutely amazing. When I first opened it out of the box, I thought that this size was perfect, at least for how I want to incorporate it into my collection. The canvas itself is definitely not as thick as my regular key pouches. I do have some very old key pouches and I do have some new styles, and even then, this feels like it's maybe a little bit thinner than my newest key pouches. And the only thing that I can think of is that maybe they made it that way to give it a little bit more play, because if it is this size and if you go for the bigger sizes, I feel like it might be too stiff, and therefore if you try to fit a little bit more in here, it might get a little bit wonky. So I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. Maybe they did it that way. Who knows? But it definitely doesn't feel as thick as my regular key pouches. One thing that I really do like is the zipper pull, because on some of my key pouches, you have this very matte, hardware, and then on some of them, you have a very shiny part of the zipper, and then you have a very dull part of the zipper as well. So I like that this is more of a cohesive look, and it has a little bit more shine. It's not like super shiny like you do have on the on this keychain part, but I still like that it has more of that cohesive look. And as you guys can see, you don't have too big of a gap where the zipper ends there or right there either, so you don't have to worry that it's too big, that something's gonna fly out of there. Definitely not. All right. And another thing that I wanted to point out is this chain. Now this chain to me feels a lot flimsier than any of my other key pouches. And again, I do have some of the newer styles, but it feels a lot thinner. Do I necessarily feel like it's so thin that if I had this fully loaded, I would feel comfortable putting this on my belt loop? Probably not. That just could be my own paranoia, but it doesn't feel as sturdy. I'm sure it's fine, but when I compared it to the other ones, I was like, yeah, this one feels a little bit thinner. And I mean, if you do have this fully loaded and if you are carrying around like this, it doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies, you know? So to each their own, but I wasn't too impressed with this chain by any means whatsoever. This part here feels fine. Like I said earlier, it almost feels like it's a little bit sturdier than the regular key pouches, which I think is great. I mean, even closing it up, it's a little bit harder, but it could be because it's new. I don't know. Compared to the other ones, I've opened them up a million different times. So I just wanted to point that out as well. As much as I like the little slip pocket because I think it adds a really nice detail to this key pouch, at the same time I'm thinking, okay, what if I have this guy fully loaded and if I have this key ring in here, is it going to get stuck in this little pouch constantly? And is that going to cause it to stretch out even more in a shorter amount of time? I don't know. These are just kind of the things that go through my mind. So I'm just like, I like it, but at the same time, is this going to stretch out really gnarly in a short amount of time? Or if I get something else stuck in here, is it just automatically going to go towards that little pouch? Let me bring it up as close as possible so you guys can see it. I don't know why it's not picking it up as well as it should. There we go. See what I mean? So I feel like even playing around with it here while it's empty, I feel like, what if everything keeps getting stuck in there and then this guy ends up kind of getting bulbous or it gets too stretched out? I don't know. Again, just the thoughts that go through my mind as I'm kind of playing around with this. As I mentioned previously, I was between the small and the medium, and I thought, okay, is the medium going to be a little too big? The medium on the website, they say that it's great for your passports, so I think that size would be perfect for travel. You can also use this for travel. You can use all three of them for travel. Again, you have a million different ways in how you can incorporate them. And the large actually says that it fits a tablet. So I'm actually going to put the three sizes up on the screen with their measurements on the screen as well, just to give you guys a side-by-side with them because they are quite generous. So I love that you have options when it comes to this style. Now let's get into the size comparisons, and I did bring out a few different small leather goods just to give you a better idea of the size. And I also brought out two different key pouches, one that is older and one with the newer style. So this is the older style key pouch that's a little bit more square. So there they are side by side. Okay, and if I was to put this guy here, you can really see the difference there. All right, let's do it this way. You can see that you have at least what, about an inch and a half difference there. Okay, and then I also brought out the newer style key pouch. This guy has more of the rounded edges. There we go. And that's what I was talking about, the zipper pulls. This one feels like it looks like it's a lot more matte than this guy. This one has a little bit more shine to it. And let me also take out the chain so you guys can see that as well. Because like I mentioned previously, I feel like there is a vast difference in the way that they feel and the way that they look as well. Okay, so there you go. It just looks like this is a lot thicker than this guy here. This guy feels to me almost like the chain on the new mini pochettes, or the mini pochettes. I know that they kind of revamped them so they have different chains from what they had way back when, but you can really see the difference between the chains here. This one just feels a lot, the chain itself feels a lot flimsier than this guy. This guy feels like you can feel the thickness on it. And this one, I wouldn't think twice about putting it on my belt loop. Like I'd be like, yeah, no problem, even if I have it fully loaded, but it just doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies like I said before. So you guys can really see the difference in the chain. This one just definitely looks a lot thicker than this one. All right, so there's that. Okay, I also brought out the mini pochette. The mini pochette obviously has, it's a little bit wider, and it's almost the same length. It's a little bit more comparable. Let me put them right side by side. There you go. So it's missing just a little bit, but you can see how much more space you have in the mini pochette compared to the size small key pouch. All right, so there's that guy. I also brought out the medium size of the Kirigami in case you guys have this guy in your collection. So it's just a little bit smaller than the Kirigami. And if it wasn't for this little wing up here, I feel like they would be very similar. You know what, I'm gonna put the chain in because I feel like that's a little distracting when it comes to these side-by-side comparisons. And I wanna give you guys as much info as possible. So there we go. And if I was to butt it up against the medium Kirigami, you guys can see there, it's pretty close. It's pretty similar. Okay, I also brought out the Chanel O-case because you guys know I love these guys, and this is the most similar out of everything that I personally have in my collection. I think that this is definitely the most similar. They even have the like almost identical width. Look at that. Pretty close, right? I can fit the same amount of items that I fit in this, I can fit in this, which makes me super, super happy. Again, because I love using these little, these pouches for wallets. Now, one thing that I also wanted to include in here, I saw a sales associate on Instagram, a big shout out to her, because when I was kind of thinking about what size to go for, she really helped me out by putting it side by side with the large Kirigami. So she said that the medium key pouch is similar in size to the large Kirigami. So that right there was like a done deal. I'm like, I think that might be a little too big for what I want to use it for, but just to give you guys a size comparison, so here you have the small, and just think of this very, very similar to what the medium new key pouch is. That's a huge, huge difference. But I like it. I like it because you can use it in so many different ways. So when I saw that, I was like, dude, that is the picture that I needed to see to really make up my mind. And I'm so thankful to her for putting it on there and the comparisons as well. Definitely check out her Instagram. She is a sales associate for Louis Vuitton, and she always has the latest details on new releases and whatnot. So I think that she is amazing. But so those are the size comparisons. Now let's get into what this guy can fit. What I can tell you right off the bat is that even though the mini pochette and the small key pouch are very similar in size, I can fit way more in the mini pochette just because it has that much more depth to it than this guy does. I feel like this guy gets very bulky, not as quickly as you would think, but still, it is a little bit more slender, so you're not going to be able to fit as much as you can in the mini pochette. Let me move this chain once again. And I know that I am being very repetitive, but I'm just trying to give you guys as much info as possible just in case you are looking to add these pouches to your collection. So you can fit a lot more in here. Granted, this is a lot more expensive than this guy, But if you're a huge fan of the mini pochette and how much you can fit in there, you're not going to be able to get away with carrying as much in the small size key pouch. Now, as far as what the size small fits, very quickly, my iPhone 11, I know it's ancient, my iPhone 11 does not fit in here. Even without the case, it's definitely not going to fit in here. If you want something that's going to fit your phone, definitely check out the medium, because the medium is going to give you that extra space that you need and still be able to carry other goodies with you. So yeah, an iPhone 11 does not fit in here. If you have something smaller, then you'd have no problems. I tried like jamming it in there. I'm like, maybe it'll work, maybe it'll fit. No, it definitely didn't fit. But let's say that you wanted to carry your lipsticks in here, because you know everybody wants to carry just a pouch of lipsticks. No, I know not. But I was able to fit 5 full-size lipsticks in here, no problem. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so there are all 5. I'm able to zip it up, no problem. Look at that smooth zip. I absolutely love it. I think that's amazing. So 5 full-size lipsticks in here. So if you are one that wanted to carry your makeup in here, no problem with that. Of course, if you have like a really bulky powder, that's not going to fit in there. But lipsticks, yeah, that's going to fit in there. If you have slender lotions, that's going to fit in there, no problem. Let's say that you wanted to fit a card case in there or a flat card holder. This is going to fit in here, no problem. The only thing is that I feel like you have to kind of tip it on its side to be able to fit it in, but you can still fit it in there, and your keys, some cash, what have you. So I like that. I like that. It's almost like the mini pochettes, like little sister or something. I don't know, but I think that these are great. Now let me show you guys, if you do have 2 different key fobs in there. My husband's key fob is enormous and very, very bulky, and then I have my key fob in here. I'm able to fit those in, no problem. Plus I'm able to fit house keys and my office keys in here as well. So if you wanted to use this as a key pouch, obviously you're going to have no issues with that. If you wanted to use it as a catch-all, it's going to be great. If you wanted to use it as a wallet, it's going to be great. And I also brought out, give me just a moment, I also brought out a couple of cards just to give you an idea of what they look like in here. So let's say you wanted to use this as a wallet. I mean, look at that. You have tons of space. So if you do have those very bulky items, obviously it's going to get very bulky very quickly, and it might get very wonky, or it might be a little bit difficult to zip it up. But still, I feel like the possibilities are endless in how you can incorporate this small size as well. And I am absolutely here for it. The more and more I talk about this, the more excited I get about wanting to add the medium as well, because I think that I want the large as well, even though the large is massive, and I don't think I'd ever use that. But still, I think that these are absolutely wonderful. I don't think the price point is ridiculous either, considering what you are getting for that price point. I mean, $365, $490, and $735 are not that bad, especially if you want to use it for your tablet, if you wanted to use it for documents, if you want to use it for your passports, if you want to use it for travel, if you wanted to use it for everyday essentials. Each size truly does bring something different to the table. And one last thing that I wanted to mention with this size, I love that it fits inside of my smaller handbags, no problem. So it fits my Chanel minis, it fits the wallet on chains. I love that this size is small enough to fit in the smaller handbags, but it's also large enough to carry more essentials with me. And you guys know that when it comes to pouches, when it comes to small leather goods, I'm always looking to push the envelope and fit a little bit more and fit a little bit more comfortably in here as well, because I don't want something that's totally just jam-packed either. But I think that this is an awesome size. I think that all 3 sizes are wonderful. And as I said earlier, I'm still kind of thinking about maybe possibly going for the medium, because I think that they're great. I think that these pouches are going to do insanely well because of the options, the variety that they give people, you know? And as I said before, if you are a huge, huge fan of the regular key pouch, this is just a little bit of a bigger version of it. And I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Even though I'm not the craziest about the flimsy chain, because I can feel the difference in it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not really sold on that. But everything else I really like. And even if it does have the thinner canvas, if they added the thinner canvas to make it a little bit more user-friendly to carry more with you, then I am all for that. But again, we all know how Louis Vuitton is. But anyways, that does it for this video. Oh my goodness, I know that it was very long and I know that I got quite repetitive, but as I said before, I'm just trying to give you guys as much information as possible. And I sincerely hope that I was able to help you, especially if you're looking to add any of these pouches to your collection. Have any of you guys snagged these pouches? If you have, let me know in the comment section down below. How are you liking them? What are some things that you notice about them? Let us know that as well. But I love you guys to the moon and back. If you enjoyed this video, make sure and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and you'd like to, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. And as always, make it a fabulous day or not. The choice is yours. Have a great day.